for the first time, we had significant flows in the last few days. So 11th of November, 295 million. 8th of November, which is the 3 days at the end of last week, 85, 79, 52. So every single day there's slightly more. Yesterday was 3 times more than Friday. And yeah, before that it was minimal. For the 5th of November, nothing. 4th of November, 63 million outflow. 1st of November, 10 million outflow. And even the positive days before that in the last week of October were around 7 mil, 4 mil, 2 mil, like really nominal stuff. Huge step change in the Ethereum ETF inflows. Bitcoin ETF inflows are obviously huge. 11th of November was 1.1 billion. 7th of November was 1.3 bill. So huge numbers there. And I guess the interesting thing to note, which Vance pointed out and I mentioned earlier, is ETH, at least yesterday, being at that quarter level. I think maybe that's what people would like it to be. I think there's not enough information or enough evidence to know that that will be how it will be in perpetuity moving forward. But I think that's what people are hoping it will be. If ETH can get a quarter, they would be super happy. Funk, any reflections from you there?
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising in the sense that Bitcoin is the apex predator, right? So, I mean, all these big institutions are going to be gobbling up the Bitcoin first for their ETFs. And then it makes perfect sense when you know that BlackRock is bidding its BUIDL and everything else that it's doing on chain on ETH. It was only a matter of time. And I think now that the market started to move, there's a response from these big ETF players who are just going to start packing their ETH bags, if you will, because we got to admit, right? Like ETH has been, you know, the meme of the stick poking, you know, come on, do something. And until it started ripping, and it's funny how, you know, this is TradFi markets, really, they're always going to play the momentum. They're going to play the trade. So when it's sitting there, it's not interesting to them. When it starts moving, that's when they're going to move. So I'm really just excited to see where this all goes. Not financial advice. I mean, I think one of the easiest trades right now is just if you're already exposed in crypto and you want to do something in TradFi, I keep a lot of dry powder in my Roth IRA. And yesterday I loaded up on HODL. I was chatting with the VanEck intern, shout out to the VanEck intern. And I said, I'm going to buy more HODL today because it's just, to me, is such an easy trade. We know where this is going. And I literally bought some, and then I just set the limit order for half the stack at twice the price. So I'll just reclaim my capital, let the rest rip. And I think we're, like I said, buckle up in the beginning of the show. I think we have no idea what's coming.
I like it. So you started moving towards the Bitcoin side there. Let's just give people a sense of what's happening. A few really interesting data points, I guess. One from Eric Balkunas, our favorite ETF reporter from Bloomberg, said that the Bitcoin industrial complex, being the ETFs plus master stock plus coin, all saw $38 billion in trading volume yesterday. The lifetime records being set across the board. Just an insane day. I think, you know, he's very well positioned to be able to comment on that, given that he sees all of these ETFs all the time. A couple of other bits and pieces reported that MicroStrategy acquired more Bitcoin, 27,200 Bitcoin raised or bought by MicroStrategy as well. And it's just very significant purchases taking place here. Funky, what are your thoughts here as kind of the Bitcoin bull?
A couple of things. I think that one, I'm very happy with our MicroStrategy purchase from 2020. Even though I sold some, the remainder is still up 10x. And more importantly, I think Saylor said, and this is one of my favorite quotes, MicroStrategy will always be buying the local top, because people used to just break his balls over the fact that, like, oh, it's a sign that Saylor keeps buying the top. He's the worst trader ever. And I think the average purchase price for MicroStrategy is just below $43,000. So basically doubled up. And I know in the rundown, when you quickly went through it, it said that right now they are basically going to overcome the biggest trade ever with some famous short that went 10 billion. So, I mean, the fact that MicroStrategy continues to do this, it has the plan to continue to purchase Bitcoin. And now with, Florida effectively taking over, because I don't know if you saw the news, Marco Rubio is going to be the Secretary of State, and like everybody in Florida effectively is going to be running the Trump administration. So if we get that Senator Loomis bill to go through and the strategic reserve becomes a thing, Again, I have no idea where this is going. I was texting my brothers like mad. One of them already owns some Bitcoin, but he complains he didn't buy enough. And the other one has none. And I said to him, you need to have some exposure. I don't care if you're buying $100 a week. This is not going anywhere. And if we get game theory with other nation states effectively coming out and said, oh yeah, hey, by the way, we're going to be accumulating Bitcoin, it is going to be an arms race in that sense. And I think what's also really interesting, and just like we used to make fun of the pizza guy for the 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas from, back in 2010, whatever it was, Germany will be the nation state Bitcoin pizza. Selling all 50,000 Bitcoins that they sold for like 50 some grand, they are going to regret that forever.
Strong words, Funky. I mean, it would be a terrible take. It would be such a terrible position for them, having sold the bottom, and then no more than a few months later, the biggest country in the world announces a strategic Bitcoin reserve. A couple of interesting other data points that I saw is that Bitcoin overtook silver as in terms of market cap, and someone shared that it would, in order for Bitcoin to equate roughly with the market cap of gold, Bitcoin would need to be at $1 million. So look, I don't know if it goes there immediately, but I think that's going to be one of the things against which you're going to be comparing this asset moving forward. How much of how does it perform versus gold? And I feel like that can be like a quite nice benchmark to say, well, if we're only X% versus gold, then we've still got this amount of room to run. Whether that's like immediately in the short term or whether that's a longer term thing, I feel like that's an interesting or a useful comparison.
Another good data point is that at 184K Bitcoin, the network will be worth more than any other public traded company in the world. NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google, you name it. All the ones that are on the list above it, 184K, it wipes all those out, and then only has gold ahead of it.